YouTube was good. It's your boy Jody Joe. Welcome to Jody's Corner. This is a special segment known as the Horror Pit.
Welcome to the Horror Pit.
Yes. Yeah. I am Jody Joe. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. And I'm just basically playing mediator here for the two horror members of the league. And we got D-Man and Ronan here, guys.
Yes, sir. What's up? Horror time.
So yeah, horror is everything that you guys know and love. You guys are the horror guys, and man, we just gonna talk shit, bro. I'm gonna listen to y'all. I'm gonna ask ignorant, questions because I'm not into the horror genre that much. I don't really know or watch a lot of horrors, but you guys are here to tickle the itch and scratch that itch of the fan base that we have here on Jody's Corner.
Man,
let's get it. I am Ronan Joe Genji, Cyborgpedia, and this is episode 2 of the Horror Pit, as Jody said. Thank you for tuning in, and special guest here, co-host D-Man Kaiju King.
Hey,
Kaiju King, haha, I like that. That's tight.
How we doing today,
Welcome,
bro?
D-Man.
Yeah.
what's going on, man? What's going on, everybody? Glad to be here.
All right, for sure. Well, Ronan, go ahead and lead the way and let us know what's the topic of discussion.
All right, so I'll break it down for those that did miss episode 1. So basically, Horror Pit is really a place where we talk all things horror, whether it's television, movie-based, video game, comic book, or web series. If it's news, we'll talk about it, and we dip into the new age and the modern too. So we just shed light on all things horror-based. So if it's like hot news, we'll talk about it. We'll do recommendations at the end, new or old, and we'll leave that up since E-Man's here. He's going to help me out with that too because we got some recommendations for you guys. But again, anything horror-related, television, movie, comic book, video game, and web series, we'll talk about it. And news. So we're going to jump off from that. And today's topic, we're going to talk about the two Halloween films coming out in 2020 and 2021. And I think we have a trailer to react to as well. Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends from Blumhouse Pictures.
So Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me and the viewers what you mean by Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends? Is that two separate films that are coming out in separate years? Is one a sequel to the other? Why are they back to back? Can you elaborate and explain?
No problem. So Halloween Kills is going to be the first act of that beginning movie from the 2018 film. And then Halloween Ends is going to be the final act of that previous installments from the other films, and that's going to be in 2021. So both of these two entities are basically continuing from the 2018 film, the one that you saw last year.
Right.
So this is going to be a follow-up. So we had no idea. This news came out of nowhere. Jason Blum and Blumhouse Pictures had announced it, and they had released a teaser trailer letting us know that what had happened in the events of the previous movie was setting up for two movies. We were just under the notion that we were going to get one movie. So they said we're going to do two films now. And so fans were like, wait, what? We're getting two? And we all thought the same thing. Like, we're going to get two in the same year, but it's going to be spread out. But they're both going to come out in October. Well, so that's the kicker.
We have the trailer here, and I guess we can react to it and check it out and see what's going on.
Let's get it.
Viewers at home can check it out too. Let's go ahead and check out this trailer for this teaser for the Halloween.
You don't believe in the boogeyman? You should.
The saga of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode isn't over. On October 16th, 2020, Halloween Kills.
Get out of here!
And on October 15th, 2021,
Happy Halloween, Michael.
Halloween Ends.
It's real.
Okay.
Halloween Kill of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode isn't over. On October 16th.
October 16th, 2020. Okay, October 16th.
2020. Halloween Kills.
Get out of here!
And on October 15th.
Oh, dang, almost a year to the day.
Woo! That's something to anticipate because...
Wow, bro.
It gives me that idea kind of like when we were getting our Nolan trilogy as far as the Batman movies, and then when we were getting our trilogy as far as like Lord of the Rings, like getting those like simultaneously but still spread out. So I love the idea of a trilogy because the rule was set in stone that the 2018 film was going to be the end of it, H4 40 years later. Yeah. And I was just one of the guys that was like, the fan of me was like, I'm happy to see another Halloween movie. But I wanted this movie to end it as well. But then when they had the plan to come out with more movies, 2 movies, I was like, okay, there must be still some story left. Or they just really want to wrap up Laurie's saga and just bring full-on closure to it. Because I always said if you were going to do more, I always wanted a trilogy.
Yeah,
because I think that's the best way to do it, to flesh things out and really end it instead of just trying to cram everything into one movie. But there are some audiences out there that are divided and wanted 2018 to be the final act, and they want to just close off Laurie Strode's saga and continue with the new generation, her daughter and the granddaughter. So it's iffy for me. I want to see where this is going to go because I feel like there's still a little bit more to explore, and I feel like it's not over. If you really count the original film as canon as well, there's still some stuff to be explored, but you can still keep it simple though. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. How you feel about it, bro?
To be honest with you,
Yeah.
2018's version of Halloween was one of the best remakes of a classic iconic character that we've seen in a very long time. I mean, we've seen the Freddy remakes, we've seen the Friday the 13th remakes, and I think that 2018 did it better than any of them.
Okay.
Which one are you talking about exactly? You said 2018?
Yeah, the 2018 Halloween
Better.
did the one that came out last year,
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
that's a part of this trilogy. It did it better than any of the other classic icon remakes that we've seen. That includes the Rob Zombie one. That includes the
I'll give you that.
reboot of the Nightmare on Elm Street. That
Okay.
includes the reboot of Friday the 13th. Those attempts to reintroduce these characters to a modern day audience, to me, it wasn't done as good as 2018's Halloween.
What was it about 2018's Halloween that made it so special for easy people like me to go in and watch it and love it? Because I actually loved 2018 Halloween, bro. It was really good, and it gave
That's
great
refreshing.
suspense. I would like to reference you guys to this scene right here from 2018. He drops the teeth down, that very creepy,
Yeah.
eerie scene. This reporter that you think is the main character
Right.
wrecked.
Right.
And what's good about that is that he created two characters that you thought were going to be the main guys that you follow, that they're not going to die.
Facts.
Introduce them, give them some type of weight.
Yeah.
They had weight, in my opinion, and then
Facts.
kill them.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think Halloween 2018 was dope, and you might be right. But what was it about this movie that you think was so easy for everybody to get with?
One, you didn't have to remember any of the other eight or nine films that they did.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to see Resurrection, H2O, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth. This one is a direct sequel to the original, so it's very simple to follow. It also didn't try to go too far with its storyline. It kept it very basic. The older movies, what they tried to do was give Michael a reason why he was like the way he was, or whether it be supernatural or cult reasonings or whatever. This one just says straight up, man, he's just a crazy human being. And I like that. They kept the story simple and they made it effective. They also gave it that kind of like that old school slasher feel, which it's kind of like it's refreshing
Yeah.
to especially old school fans like me.
Do you feel like it was a good mix of the old and new?
Oh, definitely.
As far as like the slasher storytelling or the slasher formula?
I think it was perfectly blended because it gives the old slasher films fans that feeling like, oh man, we really getting one of these films, and then it's also modern enough so that newer age fans can appreciate it as well.
True.
It's a good tasty morsel for both fan bases.
So Halloween's coming out in 2020 and 2021,
Yes, sir.
Yes.
back to back.
I love
So it's
that.
basically like Matrix makes you reloaded.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
Revolutions are reloaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think trilogies are a good way to go about this though, because
Yeah.
I think it's short enough not to make it so long and make people bored and lose interest, and it's basically it gets rid of all the nonsense. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'll also add that I think that him calling it Halloween Ends is a certified, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, look, man, y'all motherfuckers, like we talked about it, like he did the first Halloween, and then other motherfuckers kind of ruined his product.
Yeah.
Even though some people love him, but it wasn't quite Halloween 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's gonna be like, all right, if I'm steering this ship, I'm about to end this shit. Halloween kills, Halloween ends.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Batman
Yeah.
Begins.
It works.
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises, it's a wrap. Finish that trilogy, bro. Well, so this is a standalone trilogy then, right?
Yes.
Yep.
So does that mean that this could potentially be in the running for greatest trilogy of all time?
Possible. Very possible.
Possible.
It's definitely in the right hands. You got the old school band back together. You got all the hands in places. Jamie Lee is back. You got Carpenter on plus. That's good clout right there, and he's doing the music. So without his music and out his blessing, this would not work. They contacted that man for a reason.
Yeah, they need him.
This is his baby. You know what I mean?
We will need it. Yeah, they needed him.
His music is very prevalent. I don't know if you guys know how important his music is to this series. Like, he shipped this universe, like he created this world and he created this character. Very simple, but it's taken on a whole kind of meaning and identity for itself. Like the shape is kind of like one thing, and then Carpenter's music is kind of like a whole nother thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could you imagine the movie without his music? Just wouldn't work. You know what I mean?
His score intensifies.
It guided the scenes. Like it brought.
Does
life
he have
to
the
scene.
rights to that music? They couldn't use it because I remember that riff.
He has the rights.
He has the rights.
Yeah.
I remember
Did
Rob
they-
Zombie struggled to get the rights to it. That it wasn't included in
They had
Rob Zombie's
other
first film, right?
They had other composers coming into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
They
if I'm
used
not
it like once or
mistaken-
twice in the movie, and that was it.
But that was the sequel, not the original, right?
No, you're right. The first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The sequel really didn't use it that much at all.
Okay, it was one of those films.
Yeah.
One of the Rob Zombie's films didn't use it a lot.
Blumhouse said, "Nah, we got to get Carpenter to come back. Let's go talk to him directly." And he talked to him directly and reached out and said, you guys understood and figured out what I was trying to do 40 years ago. Let me help you guys steer this ship right, and I'm gonna consult in the best way I can. That's what he did. He was an executive producer. He had his stepson and his son come on and do the music with them. So it kind of felt like it was his movie in a sense because a lot of his energy and presence was there. Even though he wasn't director, when you heard that music, you're like, this is Carpenter-esque. Yeah. This is his shit. But he was able to bring the new age sounds and bring the classic sounds to it. So he brought that modernness to the music. But it still felt like 1978, you know what I mean?
How does that make you feel that the Carpenter wants to come back and finish his baby and give it that love and attention? D, how you feel about that first?
I think he finally found somebody that appreciates his character and a character that he created, and he trusts them. You could tell, he wasn't involved in any of the other Halloween projects, correct?
Not at all.
So that means that he didn't trust them.
Yeah.
He didn't trust their vision. For him to get behind this project means that he trusts them, and that means a lot. And that, to me, makes me feel like this is probably going to be a very, very, very good trilogy, bro.
Yeah, bro. You might
Very
be able
good.
to compare it to one of those greatest of all time. A lot of trilogies screw themselves in the foot by being greedy and making part 4s and part 5s. Looking at you, Indiana Jones. But Halloween, keep it 1, 2, 3, and done.
Yeah.
Ronan, how do you feel about John Carpenter coming back and be like, all right, let me help you out. Let me steer this ship and get you right. Why do you think he came back, and how does that make you feel as a horror fan?
It's great just to see his name in the limelight again, just being involved in the project, because I want him to write and direct so bad again. But for him to come on board as an executive producer is great because, again, he was there 40 years ago doing this thing. And Carpenter is a filmmaker who was not really respected by the media, but he always had a cult following, and he had a strong following overseas. And with this cult film status, though, his movies got recognized and praised years later, decades later, over time. But when they came out, they were bashed, they were attacked. But critics like Roger Ebert stood up for him. And
The first Halloween was bashed?
The first Halloween was a late hit.
It didn't catch on.
It was a late hit.
Meaning
it went unnoticed for months.
Out of theaters?
Yeah, out of theaters. It went unnoticed for months, and then word of mouth got out about this movie, and then people started talking, and then it became a late hit.
Then Roger Ebert's review came out, and it was game after that.
Because then they filmed this movie in 3 days?
Yeah.
It was filmed in 3 days.
Wow.
Halloween original.
The budget was around 100,000 or something like that, maybe less than that. Him and his friends.
Yeah,
Well, I went on to do big things. Nick Castle, who plays the Shape in the original, he went on to direct Last Starfighter. He turned into a career of writing, producing, and stuff like that. Deborah Hill, co-producer and co-writer, that was his ex-girlfriend who passed away a few years back. She was involved with that. She came up with the idea of all the dialogue for the girls. Linda and Lori and Annie.
Oh, yeah.
And John Carpenter focused on the stories of the mythos of the evil and the shape. What does it mean? He came up with the mysterious factor and set the rules for that. But Deborah Hill focused on all the dialogue for the girls, bringing that high school and teenage life kind of feel to it. So you had two different energies and two different styles within that writing area. So you got a lot of people that was involved, man. It's just good to see his name in the limelight again. And I'm glad to see him around. And it's interesting that he went to Blumhouse and nobody else, because Halloween is kind of tricky because the franchise rights was always in an uphill battle. You had Universal, who owned the rights to Part 2 and Part 3. And then from 4 and all the way to Part 8, Miramax Dimension had the rights to that. And then the very first one was Compass International, an independent company.
Perfect.
So the rights was all over the place. But with this 2018 film, it was Universal and Blumhouse Pictures, and I think Miramax is still involved. So all the old companies kind of came back. So it was a big uphill battle as far as warfare. And Carpenter's if you're gonna do another one, let me come in and help you guys out instead of me being bitter and complaining. Let me see what I can do to help you guys do it right. Let me get involved, and that's kind of where he is now.
That's very wise of him, man. That's nice. I appreciate that. And it makes me think: is John Carpenter the GOAT?
I would say so.
Yeah.
D, would you say John
say
Carpenter's
so.
the GOAT of horror?
He holds a lot of weight in the horror industry.
He's influenced a lot, and a lot of people.
Is Halloween
steal his
his
stuff.
greatest achievement in horror, or if John Carpenter goes away at his funeral, you name it, one movie that changed your life, one movie that was his greatest achievement, what is the movie for you, Ronan?
I'm gonna say Halloween as far as achievement and changing the game. Yeah, reinvent Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah.
D, I have a feeling that you're gonna go somewhere else.
Nah, I'm saying Halloween too. I was gonna see where he was going. I thought he was gonna go somewhere else.
I was going to.
I thought he was gonna go somewhere
He said
else.
one though.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw another one in there, but he said one.
Yeah.
And I feel bad I can't say the other one.
Halloween.
You can. I'll ask you to talk about Halloween and why number one, and then I'm gonna ask a number two from you, Ronan.
All right, for sure.
So Halloween definitely was the number one for me because what it did was it kind of brought the slasher genre into the limelight. It even though there were like slasher kind of like prototypes before it, it really brought it into the limelight. And every slasher that came after that movie was kind of like a copycat of
Trying to
Halloween.
mimic it's
Yeah.
it's okay.
So it meant a lot to the genre. Any slasher movie that you see now is most likely a baby or ancestor of Halloween.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so Ronan, you were struggling a little bit. You said Halloween, but
Yeah.
what's that runner up for you, bro?
The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing.
The thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in my head too.
That's a lot of people's.
Yeah. Practical effects. A good example of a remake improving on the original and going towards the source material. John W. Campbell's Who Goes There? Great novel.
I didn't even know that.
He went full on detail and really pushed the paranoia factor of it versus the 1956 Thing from Another World. It was more of a mystery who done it, and they kind of played up the ante of it's a creature, but it was just like a man that was on fire most of the time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was a different budget. You didn't have the money to do certain things. He really pushed the whole alien aspect, and that movie got bashed too because Thing came out in 1982. What else came out in 1988? Spielberg's E.T. Yeah.
Okay.
Darkness, lighthearted fun. You know what I mean? So it was different.
Alien. Huh?
But the Thing opened up a lot of doors as far as the practical effects, body horror. It was great, man. And then Who's Who, the mystery factor, it was a paranoia thing. And you had to sell the acting on who's telling the truth. And the only way you can figure out who was who is by DNA blood test. Because this thing could take on any life form that it kills. It can imitate any type of life form. And there's no way to know who's who unless you sample blood. Thing was clever, man.
Wow.
Great cast, Keith David, Kurt Russell. So Carpenter owes a lot as far as reinventing the wheel, as far as like all male cast, standalone movies doing subgenres, creating Western horrors, siege movies, survival movies, simple suspense movies, cat and mouse thrillers. He just reshaped the genre by merging things, and then he dipped into other genres while still keeping his horror setting. Like, it's crazy. Like, this man did all of that, and he writes, he directs, and he scores his own music in his movies. He's
That's
a composer
dope.
too.
Yeah. That's dope.
He's the daddy.
He's the daddy. He's the daddy.
Carpenter's the dude. Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you guys want to talk about? Want to mention before we close out the Horror Pit episode 2?
I will say I'll give a recommendation of something that you should check out, and E-Man can follow through as well. 2003's High Tension. Alexandre Aja is the director, the guy that recently just did the Crawl movie. I think it's one of his first and really solid directorial debuts. It's a French horror thriller. Stars Cécile de France, and it is really great. If you like slashers and suspenseful type of stuff, I think you'll really feel this movie. Jody, you might like it as well, man. It's called High Tension. It came out in 2003, and it's a solid movie. Doesn't really get talked about as much, so I think that would make it underrated in my opinion. It's a great movie. A lot of cool kills, a lot of mystery and suspense. It's very well directed. You'll love it. Check it out.
All right. Well
said, bro.
I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to check out that Crawl after D-Man told me I need to watch that too.
Okay.
So I'm sleeping a little bit.
Same
so.
director. Same
Yeah,
director.
like you said, I'm going to go ahead and check out Crawl, man. And D-Man, what you got, bro?
Let's see. Have you ever seen At Midnight I Take Your Soul?
No. Sounds awesome.
what?
Sounds great.
Bruh. At Midnight I Take Your Soul?
I love that title.
It's a Portuguese black and white horror film.
Oh, okay.
If anybody
Golden
out
Age.
there has heard of it, have you ever heard of Coffin Joe?
Yes. Haven't
Okay,
seen it though.
That's his movie.
Okay.
So the Coffin Joe has a bunch of different movies. It's basically
At midnight,
I Take Your Soul.
I take your.
Tell me that's not a crazy title.
That's crazy.
That's a good
That's
title.
crazy, bro.
Yeah, so at midnight, I Take Your Soul, black and white Portuguese film. You guys should definitely check it out.
Is it black and white by choice, or is it black and white because it's very old?
I think it's black and white because it's old. Because I think the sequel, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken, it's colored in certain areas. So they added color to certain scenes. Like I think there's a scene where this is a sequel though. There's a scene where they go into hell and they actually painted it in with neon colors and stuff.
Oh wow,
So yeah, I know how you
that's
feel.
some evil shit right there, bro. Freak.
I mean, with a title like At Midnight, I Take Your Soul.
Yeah.
But now it follows this very evil man that lives in a village. And I don't want to give too much of the plot, but I mean, you guys should definitely check it out. Coffin Joe is is a very underrated, iconic horror character. Definitely
Okay.
check it out.
All right, so what about we're gonna close out with your opinion and your both of your opinions on a viewer out there, someone like me, someone who doesn't really vibe with horror because they think there's a lot of cheesiness in horror. Me personally, I'm not a fan of cheesy. I'm a fan of self-aware, but I'm not a fan of your film is so bad that it's funny.
Got it.
You know, I'm a fan of your stuff is bad. That's why you're doing it this way.
Gotcha.
What about those people like me? What film would you recommend they see to make them kind of feel and understand where you guys are coming from? Let's go, D. Let's go with you first.
See if I
You want to get me. You want to get me
you.
to watch a film and be like, oh, now I understand what the horror genre is all about. Now I understand the roots, the classic horror. Okay, I could get with this.
It's a film I actually just watched, and it makes you appreciate it because it's filmed very well, and also the storyline is very interesting. Black Christmas.
2006.
Nah, the original.
Nah.
The original.
1974, right? Bob
1974.
Clark.
Oh, okay.
Let's
That's
go.
the original.
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually surprised when I watched this film it has POV shots, which is to me isn't very common in the 70s. That film is a very interesting film. It's well filmed, good cinema, and has a great storyline. It's not too over the top. It's not too gory. It's not too. Because I think a lot of the problems that people have with horror movies sometimes is they feel like they exploit gore, and I don't want them to watch a film specifically for gore. This film isn't gory. It's not over the top shocking, but it does just enough just to reel you in. So I think Black Christmas is a good way to go for somebody that's trying to get into the genre and also just wants a good film.
Okay.
That's tight, bro.
That's a good pick.
That's tight. I'm gonna tell you, and then I'm also gonna share with you guys what got me into like understanding that there's levels to this horror, and dang, it makes me want to ask you guys even more questions. But go ahead, Rona. What's your pick to get me to convince me to
Get you in.
yeah, or people like me?
You like thrillers, so I know that.
Right.
When a Stranger Calls. Fred Walton's the director. It's 1979, the original, man. The first 15 minutes of that movie is awesome.
All right.
Just, it's all set up.
Or you said the original. What year?
1979.
When a Stranger Calls. And for you, 1974, Black Christmas.
Yeah.
So there it is, guys. Check it out.
Yeah. You will love that. Suspense thriller. This is when there was no technology. So the idea of a killer being stalked, it's pretty basic though, right? But then this is a big thing because a lot of murders, a lot of kidnappings and things happen.
70s.
But the setup is so iconic. And the second half of the movie turns into a detective story. And we're following this detective who's obsessed with tracking down this madman that's stalking these people in this town.
Yeah.
And then the third act goes back to the babysitter that was being stalked. So everything goes back to that first act of the original movie. But the setup of that film is a film in itself, and then the rest of the movie is a detective story. So like you can literally watch the first 15, 20 minutes of that and turn it off. But because of what happens in the beginning, you want to see the rest of the movie. And I'm selling you on the setup alone. The music is awesome. The acting is so good. And the tension around, like you said, one location is just astounding because it's all in one big house, and there's prank phone calling. And it's amazing because the way it unravels is not expected.
That's dope.
But you think you know
You
what's
make this
happening.
sound really good, bro.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie?
Nah, I haven't. I think I own it though.
When a Stranger Calls is
You
great.
think you own it,
I
but
think
you
I
ain't
own
seen
it.
it.
On DVD.
And the lead actress, man, she's really
Shout out to
good.
those DVD buyers in 2019.
Yo. Yeah, and you'll love the lead actress too, Carol Kane. She's
Oh, yeah,
great.
we both
Tight.
picked the movie with prank calling behind it.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Y'all both picked the movie with prank calling.
Yeah, Black Christmas is kind of
It's
centered
kinda
around
prank-
it's centered around a prank call too.
His,
Oh,
was a few,
okay.
yours was a few years earlier. Mine was in '79.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It does Steven Spielberg's, what's it called? Semi?
Oh, Duel,
Duel.
1971.
Does that count as a horror? That shit was
Yes.
riveting.
Yes.
Yeah, that counts as horror.
That's,
Woo,
that's
that was
bro. That's Psycho on Wheels. It was great.
My aunt told me about that movie. She was like, I need to find a movie with that truck driver. And I'm like, what truck driver? And I had to look it up online. She was like, you
Duel
need to
was
watch that
fire.
movie.
I saw that when I was a kid, bro.
Yeah.
Tight.
Then I went and rewatched it when I was in like high school. Man, I love that movie, man.
Duel
that
was
movie
tight.
that movie terrified me, bro. That terrified me as a kid. A freaking truck.
Spielberg.
You never see the driver, right?
Never.
You never see him.
Or motivation. He's just chasing him. Why?
Why?
I love it.
Tight, bro.
I love
Bro.
Exactly.
Steven Spielberg's directorial
Free.
debut. That's
No
also another
explanation.
recommendation, man.
No explanations.
1971, bro. That was an underrated movie. That was a made-for-television movie too. Shout out to Spielberg
really?
for that. Yeah, because he did work on Night Gallery and stuff like that. Got his foot in the door and made an ABC movie of the week. That's what that was. And the guy from Gunsmoke, Dennis Weaver, played the main guy, the car salesman that was being starred.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's amazing, man.
Dennis
I
Weaver's
gotta
tight,
rewatch
man.
that.
That's
I ain't seen
amazing.
that in so long.
Duel is fire.
I ain't seen that movie. in
You
so
want to
long.
see
I
where
gotta watch it.
Spielberg started as a career director? His career started out in horror, and then he started to go more into biopics and dramas and
Sci-fi.
80s, he got into
Yeah.
sci-fi, late 70s, early 80s. But he started out as a horror filmmaker.
That's where it was at.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Spielberg's a goat, too,
And
man.
that's it, guys. I mean, you picking your brains is really fun.
Can we plug something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right,
Go
so
ahead, bro.
me and Ronan are going to start another segment.
Uh-oh.
And it's called The DeLorean of Doom.
Oh,
Love it.
snap. The DeLorean of Doom. Explain,
it.
D-Man. What's going on?
Great
Basically,
Scott.
Great Scott. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be traveling back in time. We're going to be discussing some classic horror movies for the classic horror heads in this channel.
I love
know we
it.
got a lot of them. So we're going to just sit back, stay tuned, and we're going to take a trip down memory lane.
I'm with it.
Tight.
Yeah.
The DeLorean of Doom.
I love that title, bro.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
tight.
you.
So that's taking a look at previous old horror films and analyzing and talking about them.
Yep.
Yep, so we're going to jump in the DeLorean, gun it up to 66, and head back.
I like it.
88?
Nah.
Oh.
Gotta
You
go
can do that.
evil.
Either way.
All right, for sure.
Yeah.
Tight. I like it either way. Well, that's it from us, guys. Thank you guys so very much for watching. This has been another episode of The Horror Pit. Ronan segment, The Horror Pit. Subscribe if you like the
Trouble.
content. I'm Jody Joe. Ronan Joe Genji. D-Man.
Hey.
And we out this thing, man. Deuces.
Deuces.